Welcome back to a new video. First things first, I gotta say a huge thank you to you guys for 3K subs. Everyone that watches the videos, everyone that likes and comments and subscribes, I really appreciate it. So thank you guys for that. Today I'm gonna be breaking down a beat similar to His and Hers by Internet Money, Uzi, Don Toliver and Gunna. More specifically, I'm gonna show you guys a super fire VST for making really realistic guitars. And I'm also gonna go a bit more in depth into how these types of songs are structured and a thought process behind that. I've actually used these before in a video. They're the Ilya Efimov guitars, and this one specifically is the TC electric guitar. What I love about these guitars is it comes with a normal VST guitar instrument, but it also comes with a strummed instrument. This just allows you to make so much more realistic sounding strummed guitar pattern. So I'll click play just so you guys can hear what it sounds like when you first open it up. So that sounds pretty cool, but there's a lot more customization and things you can do to get it sounding exactly how you want it. So I'm going to start with this little thing here. It's essentially replicating the pickups on a guitar. So it's set in the middle here, which means it's picking up the low end and the high end. If I move it up here, it's only going to pick up the high end. And then when I move it to the bottom, it's going to pick up more of the low end. So this knob on the left is like a volume control, and then the one on the right acts as a low pass filter. So if you bring it down, it's going to cut off loads of the highs. Next, I'm going to move on to this section on the right. When you're playing an actual guitar, you can play the same chords at different points on the fretboard depending on whether you want it higher or lower. So that's what this emulates. As you can see, variation 1 is on the 1st fret, variation 2 is on the 4th fret, variation 3 is on the 7th, and variation 4 is on the 12th. So essentially, variation 1 is going to be lower pitched and variation 4 is going to be higher up. It also shows you where you'd put your fingers on the guitar if you were playing it on a real one. This could actually be really useful if you wanted to learn the real guitar. So these black dots show you where to put your fingers on the guitar. And obviously, like I said, 1 means it's on the 1st fret, 4 means it's on the 4th fret. What you could do is make some MIDI chords and then follow what it says on these variations and play that on a real guitar. But if you just want to use a certain variation inside the bank, then you can select which ones you want to use. So if you just want to use 4, for example, you just deselect 1, 2, and 3, and then 4 will play. You can really customize it however you want. So if you just wanted to use 2 and 4, you just deselect 3 and 1, and as you'll see, it will just choose 2 and 4. So you can also select whether you want the pick noise and the fret noise. Just adds a little bit more texture and realism to it. And then one of my favorite parts is the double, which essentially just doubles it, makes it super wide and sound really, really big. The final thing I love in this contact bank is the strum time. So the more you push it up, the longer the strum will be and it won't hit straight away. Obviously you need to be quite subtle with it because you can hear there it's kind of a bit all over the place and it is quite hard to get it in time, but when you do, it can sound super fire. Next, you can go to pattern mode, and here it says style and pattern. So if you click style, they both come up, and essentially it gives you a bunch of different options. So I'm on shuffle pop, it's a bit kind of glitchy. Basic pop, there's a bunch of settings. So I just went through a bunch of them and found the one I liked, and then I bounced it to audio and put a few processing effects on it. So first of all, I threw on a bias effects amp. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that I use this a lot. So I chose the acoustic preset. It's kind of meant for an acoustic guitar, but I just wanted a really clean kind of simple amp to just give a bit more texture to the guitar. All I really did is turn down the reverb and just make it quite subtle. After that, I did a simple EQ. I cut some of the lows out and around the 2500 hertz range just because I didn't really like those frequencies. And finally, a compressor. I used the rhythm guitar preset because that's made for something like this, and I just messed around with the input and output a little bit. After the guitar, I went straight into the drums. I wanted to build on the bounce that the guitar gave me. So first is this hi-hat. After that is a clap. Then I did a simple perk for some bounce. Then I also added another perk to build on that a bit more. Next is the 808. Of course, I had to use the all girls of the same 808. Kept a very simple pattern. That's kind of what Nick Mira is almost known for. And then finally, I added this open hat just to complement the 808. So the drums are really simple and I did them quite quickly. Then I just wanted to add a few more melodic elements just to fill the beat out a little bit. For the intro, similar to what they did with His and Hers, I did a guitar counter melody just with another Elia Efimov guitar. Again, I used a bias effects amp. I used a preset that's more tailored for electric guitars. I had quite a light plate reverb and an EQ just to cut some lows out. In His and Hers, there's a synth bass for the pre-hook, so I just followed that structure and also copied the same notes as the 808s. Finally, I did this really ambient, soft pad that just kind of adds to the hook and gives it a bit more depth. Now I'm going to talk about arrangement and the thought process behind the structure of these hit songs. I'm going to start with the intro, and I think it's super important to make your intros short and to the point. I've heard some beats before where it takes forever to get to the drop and the artist might lose interest before they've even got to the drop and they'll just skip it. So here I've done a simple 8-bar intro. Obviously I've added that counter melody just at the beginning just to give a little bit of difference and variety. As you heard there, I did a really short riser to transition into the pre-hook. So I time stretched that to make sure it fits perfectly. I pitched it all the way down, and then I just added a medium-sized reverb just to kind of drown it out a little bit. Small things like risers and crashes when the beat drops can really help elevate your beat and make it sound much more exciting for the artist. For the pre-hook, we're using a synth bass rather than an 808. We don't want to use the 808 at this point because it hits too hard. We want to kind of build into that. I've also got all the percussive drums playing. As you can see, I've just cut out all the drums there. Little things like this throughout the beat are just going to give it a bit more excitement for the artist. I've also used the same riser down here just to kind of signal that we're moving into the main part of the hook. So for the actual hook, I've added the 808 and the synth pad that I showed you earlier. Obviously, we need the 808 in the hook because it's the biggest part. We want it to hit hard and be really big. And that's also why I've added the pad, because it just fills out some frequencies and gives a bit more depth. So in total, the pre-hook and the hook lasts from bar 9 to 25, which is 16 bars. So it's really short and to the point. After the hook is the first verse, I've dropped out the 808 again and brought back in the synth bass just to kind of bring it down a bit. Again, I've cut out most of the drums here except from the clap. The clap kind of stops it and allows it to transition into the next section. I've only done the synth bass section for 4 bars, and then I brought the 808 back in. That's because we want to keep the energy going and we don't want it to keep it too low for too long. So the verse goes on for quite a while just with the guitar and the 808s and all the drums. Then for the last pre-hook, what I've done is bounced all the audio with the bass and drums and the guitar, and I've filtered it out. So it starts off with the filter fully on and then it slowly comes off, which gives a really big transition into the final hook. Okay, that's today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and a comment. Let me know what you want to see next, and I'll see you in the next one.